Good morning, good morning, good morning, team on that one. Good morning, everybody else on that one. Good morning, Instagram. I'm like playing tennis. So, MindFit mornings, it's Wednesday, and if it's not a hell yes, then it's a hell no. So, I'll give you a couple of seconds, go and grab whatever you have for breakfast, your cup of tea, slide me over that coffee. Actually, I need a PA so she can just rush in and bring me a coffee like they do in the movies. So, hopefully, you're having a great week so far and everything's going well for you. And cool. So if you see me doing this, it's because I'm like looking at everything, trying to give everyone attention. And today we're going to say, so if not a hell yes, which is an empathetic and enthusiastic agreement for something, and it's a way to focus on what you really want, then it's deemed as the opposite and a definite hell no. And it allows you to let go of anything you don't want. The term was created apparently by Alan Cohen in 1218 from what I could find. And is a philosophy that can be applied to any area of your life, whether it's deciding what to eat for dinner, what to wear to a local nightclub, if you go, or whether to take on that new job and everything else in between. So using hell yes or hell no as a rule for life I could think it could be seen as scary because it could mean saying no to a lot of things. But then on the other end of the scale, it could also be incredibly freeing for the same reason. And I do know people who use it all the time as their measure for something, as their philosophy, but especially if they're feeling completely overwhelmed or overcommitted or find themselves just oscillating between should I, shouldn't I, or don't know, can't make up my mind when faced with a new opportunity, or they can't seem to make a decision one way or the other. And we've all been there. They ask themselves, I got one guy friend in particular who asked themselves, if he's absolutely sure about something, is it a hell yes? And if it isn't, it's a hell no. And it's like, it's very cut and dry. But if they're not 100% certain, they decide they shouldn't do it. And this friend in particular reckons that it just ends up causing a lot more problems in the long run and ends up being a bad decision. So I was like, and I try it, but of course it isn't always the case, because then I come from the fact that, well, sometimes you have to take risks, even if you're not completely sure about them. Because if you want something bad enough, or I do anyway, and I'm sure everybody out there else does too, is that you'll find a way to make it happen. But so if you feel actually you're ready for your next level of life, then you can try to apply this rule for yourself. And I've got some questions I'm going to ask you on that. And you can ask yourself this one question: is this opportunity, this goal, this relationship, this whatever, this job, this group thing I'm doing, is it a hell yes or hell no? So before I go any further, welcome to MindFit Mornings, giving you the tools so you can live your life by design rather than default. And good morning, Mark Sullivan from YouTube. Thank you for joining us. And today's topic, if you've just joined us, my fake coffee is ready. It doesn't work the same high-tech weather. Thank you for always being here, even though I know it's like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning for you. Today's topic is a hell yes or a hell no. So the title of this morning's topic refers to a rule that some people use in order to make decisions in their life. And it's a rule that's meant to help people avoid regret by only saying yes to the things they're 100% sure about. However, some people find it actually creates more regret because it prevents them from trying new things or taking risks. And I guess for me, I would say, if you're the type of person who overthinks things, and I've got a few of those in my life, this rule might not be for you. Don't use this rule. Well, you can, but it might not be for you. Because I think life is all about taking risks and learning from the mistakes, but you've got to be happy with making mistakes. So it's kind of like this balancing thing. And I know that sometimes the best way to learn is to say yes, even if you're not sure about it. So you can see that this whole concept is really quite complex, and it's not a black and white, cut and dry, yes, use this rule. It's only 2:30 a.m. Oh, well, that's early. You've had good sleep then. You went to sleep 10 minutes ago. So I want to know what you think about this, because I value other people's thoughts. I am a sponge for learning, and I never ever, when someone presents me with something, I have to explore all the possibilities and everything, and I go away and I think about it and I collate everything. So I want to know what you think, and because of that, I've created 4 questions to see what your views on this concept are. So again, like I did on Monday, I'll tell you what the question is, I'll share what I think about it, and then I'll give you a moment to add your thoughts to the chat. So remember then, this rule is meant to help people avoid regret. And if you use this concept, you might not have a regret that you have in your life right now. So here we go. What's the biggest regret that you have in life? And so for me, when I ask myself that question, I put, the one regret that I probably have is that I wish I'd started using that rule, hell yes, hell no, a long time ago, especially with toxic people. I should have cut certain people out of my life a lot earlier than I did. And, I'm going all the way back to being 18 and I'm 60. So it took a little while for me to get there and dust off those old brain cells. But when I was 18 years old, I worked with like a male dominated industry. And they were very sexist and condescending and patronizing. And, the little woman, well, do you know? And I just put up with it. And I stayed in that job for 5 years because I was afraid to be unemployed. So that's one of my regrets, and if I started using that rule earlier. So now it's your turn. What do you think? What are the biggest regrets you've got in life? And have you had used that concept? You might not have that regret right now. I'm interested to see what you come back with. Give me something. Nobody's coming back with anything. Scared. Oh, Santosh, thank you. Removing toxic people is a huge help in life. So yes, it is. And I wonder if you could have used that rule to get rid of those toxic people. And Mark Sullivan says, I wish I hadn't listened to other people as much as I did. Yes, because that stops you in your tracks, doesn't it? Makes you doubt yourself, doesn't it, Mark? Fantastic. All right. Well, August has come with something from LinkedIn. I don't know I have any regrets because I learn lessons and follow up to do what I want. That's good, August. I'm super proud of you. That's really, really cool. All right, awesome. So then the second question I have is obviously this, from what I was saying earlier, there's pros and cons of using the hell yes or hell no rule, right? Some people argue that the hell yes or hell no rule is a way to live your life because it helps you get focused on what's truly important to you. It prevents you from wasting time on things that are not a priority, and it can help you make better decisions. So they're all good pros. And then the cons could be that this rule is too restrictive, and it can cause you to miss out on opportunities and may make even difficult to say no to certain people or certain things. As Mark was saying no to certain people. And so what would you say? I want to know what you think are the pros and the cons of using that hell yes or hell no rule. Anybody on? Jenny Smith, welcome. Hello. Sorry, Jenny, I've got to look at 3 different places. Hope you haven't been there for long. Thank you for joining us. So what do you think, Jenny, about the hell yes, hell no rule? Do we have any pros and cons from anyone watching? You can always put them in the chat later if you don't have any right now. Cool. All right, I'll leave it at that. Oh, it's scary to say no, Santosh says. Yeah, it is, and it's stressful. It is, because you think, I don't want to disappoint me. I don't disappoint those people. I don't want them not to like me. I'll get left out. I'll be alone. They won't be my friend. They won't be my lover, whatever. Or children. I am terrible at saying no to my children. So I need to apply this hell yes or hell no, but in that area. But I'll share that in a bit. So Mark says the pros helps you do things you really want. It does. And I've got something for that, Mark, in a second. So, all right then. So the third question, would you use the hell yes, hell no rule as a philosophy or a guide when deciding to do something or not? Because my response was, I can find that I can use it in some areas of life, but not in others. And I have been applying that since I learned that rule. And where I can't apply it, I find that interesting because it shows me where I'm stuck and where I'm afraid. Like with my children, for instance, honestly, I am so afraid sometimes to say no to them because my children mean more to me than anything in the world. So it shows me that I'm afraid there, and I'm too afraid to make such a strong and definite commitment and be okay with the outcome of that decision. And that hesitation to apply the rule gives me a great indication of what I need to work on so I can apply the rule. So Mark Sullivan says the cons could be, it's actually a layered concept. It actually is. That's so true. It's not just as cut and dry as just, yep, hell yeah or hell no, and off you go. Parker, good morning from LinkedIn. I suppose it depends on the person to person and situation to situation if we can use it. Yeah, that's right. Because it shows you where, I don't just accept that's how it is. I think, okay, why can't I say hell yes or hell no in that situation? Why can't I use that as my measure? So, because if it's not a hell yes and it's a hell no, would you use that philosophy as a guide? And it's a challenging one, isn't it? It's like, would I use that? And like I said, yes, in some areas, no in others. And if it does depend on situation, but don't just accept that situation. As I was just saying, challenge it and go, okay, that's interesting. I always use that actually, rather than that's a problem. I would say that's interesting. Why can't I use it in that area? What is it about that area that's keeping me from not saying a hell yes or hell no? All right, so the last question I've got then, if you're not sure if you should do something and you do ask yourself the hell yes or hell no question, will you commit to the actionable and appropriate response from that hell yes or hell no? So if you decide something is a hell no, but you're going to act on that. And my response was absolute yes in some areas again, and no in others, because in those no areas, I would obviously be afraid of something. So I want to know what that's about, and I'll get clarity on that resistance. And then I'll do the work in respect of any fear that's stopping me from making the commitment to whatever it is I'm dithering about, which may be hard to do. But I decided a long time ago that it won't be as hard as living with the regret I'd feel if I didn't do something just because I was afraid. And Mark says, yes, he would. But after answering the initial question, I would then have to apply it to why I came to that answer. I see what you're saying. So you go like, why am I saying a hell yes if it should be a hell no? I get that. Parker says, it depends on what we are really dealing with and who. It really does. But always, like I said, just explore it, Parker. All right. And Parker also says, for me, it's about having the clarity. How do you suggest we gain that clarity on using it? By unpacking it. So if I say, like for instance, for my children, that my one daughter, like I say yes to her all the time. And sometimes it's a hell no, and I don't want to do it, but I say yes because I love her a bit, so she's my world. So I've got to understand why I'm not saying what I really feel, and I really like if I don't want to do something. And so it's not, I can still say yes, but understand why I'm saying no, and then unpack that until it's like, okay, I know what that means now for me. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. So Parker says it's always hard to say no to our loved ones, even when it's the worst thing. It is. And I get called out like it all the time, Parker. So the essence of today's message then is using the hell yes or hell no as a rule for life. And it is a great rule, but I still believe it's not always one that's easy to follow because, firstly, because we're humans, right? And we're complex creatures. And we don't always know what we want, do we? And even when we think we do, our wants and needs change with the wind sometimes. And Parker says, how do you solve it? Deciding with a loved one when no is the only right answer. I'll get back to you when I've worked that out, Parker. I'm still doing that one. I'm working on it. Mark Sullivan says, I'll be happy just making the decision. Then I'd have to not procrastinate. That's true. Procrastination, the thief of time. I love that quote. Okay, cool. So then, so we are complex and we don't always know what we want. But also sometimes saying no is really hard, as we're just saying. And it can mean saying no to something that sounds really good or to someone that we really care about, as we just said. So that said, it is a rule that one could live by because it is a way to simplify things and make sure that we're only saying yes to the things that truly matter. So I've created 5 tips for you to have a go at this rule. And because all I want you to do with all of these trainings, guys, is to think about who you are, where you are, and what you're doing in life, and give you the tools to not just go through each day like a robot and get to 60, 70, 80 and go, I wish I'd done this and be full of regret. So here are 5 tips then for you to follow this rule. And the first rule is to be honest with yourself. And being honest with yourself, it's the most important thing you can ever do in your life. And this is something I started honoring absolutely 100%, apart from with my children, probably about 6 or 7 years ago. It's about being honest, because if you're not honest about what you want, you'll never be able to follow that rule, for one thing, and you'll never actually get what you want from life, and you'll just be sad about that, and then you get resentful about that. So ask yourself honestly, is this something you really want? And if the answer is anything other than a resounding hell yes, then it's a hell no. And Dream Maniac TV says, being totally honest is the key, Rajat. That absolutely is. Thank you for sharing that. It is. There isn't anything else, because otherwise you're living someone else's idea of a life and not your own. All right. So the second tip I have then is to be honest with the people in your life. Okay. If you're saying no to something, be honest about why. Don't make up excuses. Don't try to placate them. Just tell them the truth. I used to tell people, oh, I can't do that because I got a headache. because I didn't want to disappoint them. And I didn't want them not to like me. So I'd say, I can't come because I've got a headache, or I'm not feeling well. And how stupid was that? Because now I can't go out in case they see me. So it's like, it's just stupid. And Dream Maniac TV says people don't take no very kindly. No, but that's their problem, isn't it? It's not yours. If you're saying no for yourself, you've got to understand that you're doing it because it's good for you. And if they're disappointed, then they need to know why they're disappointed. That's their problem. All right. Remember, what other people think of us is none of our business, is it? So be okay with disappointing people. And that's my third point, actually. And it can be a tough one because it's important to keep the status quo unless, and like I always actually say, let me just backtrack there. Make sure when you're saying yes to everybody else that you're not saying no to yourself. And not everyone is going to agree or understand your decisions. And that's okay, right? You got to stop pleasing everybody. You don't have to say yes to everything. And I know I got caught up with being typical people pleaser. I was a gold medalist at it. So, I challenge anyone to rival me at that. I mean, seriously, coming from where I come from as a child, it was just, I found that was my way to get through things. So my fourth tip then is to be prepared for awkward conversations. And that goes with, some people not taking it kindly, as the Dream Maniac TV said. Saying no can sometimes lead to awkward conversations. And it's important to remember that you're not obligated to explain yourself to anyone either. And if you're not comfortable getting into a discussion about why you're saying no, then simply say that you're really sorry. And it's not a personal thing. You just don't want to do it. And I don't have to explain myself. And you don't even have to say that out loud. But in your mind, know that you don't have to explain anything. And then the fifth tip to remember then is you can always change your mind. And Sebastian, good morning from YouTube. I take it for granted that people will never be happy no matter what we do. You know what? That's a probably good rule. At 69 Mega, I don't know what that is. Oh, I don't have time to live life for pleasing others. No, it's exhausting. And it never gets you what you want anyway, because the minute you stop people pleasing that person and you do something that you honor yourself, all of a sudden that whole relationship changes anyway. So what was it all about? If people aren't happy with what you're saying, they're in it because they're getting you to be who they want and they're getting something from you. When you stop doing that, then you're no longer necessary, or whatever it is, you're no longer giving them what they need. And if they get offensive about it, then was it really a friendship of true respect anyway? Because the people that matter don't mind, and the people that mind don't matter. And that's another quote. I have so many quotes that I live by, and I love them. So the last one is, then, like I said, you can change your mind, because it's easy. Just because you said no to something like now, it doesn't mean to say in the future you can't say yes. And if your circumstances or desires or change, or whatever, something happens, you can always revisit that earlier decision. And that's it. So to wrap up then, following the hell yes or hell no rule can be tough, but it's worth it, because it's a great way to simplify your life and make sure that you're only saying yes to the things that truly matter to you. But if you're finding it hard to follow the rule, then just be honest with yourself, be honest with the people in your life, and be prepared for some awkward conversations. And remember, you're always able to change your mind later. Okay, that's it for me today. Remember to be constantly working on changing your mindset so you can get MindFit and go after what you really, really want in life. And Friday, I will be back with Living with Self-Love. And I've got some great things for you there. Thank you for being here. Be sure to join my online community, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please like and share these videos, because there's always someone out there that can help someone with a bit of mindful thinking. And Mark Solomon said from YouTube, thank you again, Mark. I like this concept. I'm glad you do, and I hope you can use it. And my greatest wish for you, as always, is to be MindFit, so you can live your best life, live it with passion, reset, be authentic, and be you and you. Bye for now. See you Friday.